Hi, I'm Russ.
I'm Kevin.
And we're here with D6 Mafia talking about highlights from Theros.
So, if you've seen some of our previous movies, you know that what we're doing in this set of videos is just going through the Theros set and talking about some of our favorites, what we like, what we don't like, flavors, mechanics, just the standouts of the set for us.
Even art we like. Today we're going to be talking about gold cards, artifacts, and lands. And we're going to start with the gold cards. First on the list is Annex and Siamede.
Yes, I think that you pronounced it right.
Yes, we'll
go with Annex and Siamede for 300.
I think this card is excellent. I had a little bit of limited experience. I was on the receiving end, and it definitely punched me in the face.
I could see it doing some face punching. Just it by itself, if you just ignore the heroic ability, it's a 3/2 with first strike and vigilance for 3. So awesome.
Yeah.
And honestly,
Jinx.
I have to talk on the video. I owe you a Coke. Anyway, Annex and Siamede. I feel like a lot of times you have to just treat the heroic abilities as sort of icing, because you're just I think what we're finding more as we play with them and stuff is that they're actually not very, you need to have the cards to trigger them, and a lot of times you don't, or you run out of cards.
Yeah.
They're not the repeatable, awesome abilities that they seem like they might be at
right
first.
Out the gate. No, it's funny. I mean, from our first video about white, to this one,
and then we've gotten to play a little more since then.
Yeah, we've gotten to do at least a little bit of limited. Got to read the cards and test just a tiny bit, and I think our opinion on heroic is not quite as high as it was. There's still cards we think have tons of potential.
Oh, I still love heroic as a mechanic.
Absolutely.
It's not quite that powerhouse of repeatable mechanics that you think it is.
You thought, oh, this is going to happen every turn. Well, as long as you're drawing, 3 cards, every turn.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so,
you can keep the fun times rolling.
So build for it, and maybe you can keep those fun times rolling.
But really great. I think that Wizards is like loving on Boros so hard. Right now, I mean, Return to Ravnica block. I mean, Boros, I just think was hands down the strongest.
Boros was pretty freaking brutal.
I mean, in standard and in draft, I mean, and that red white, it just kills. And I think this fits right into any Boros deck. I mean, I wouldn't play more than 2 copies. Obviously, it's just really tough to have one stuck in your hand. I mean, you want to. It's that debate on you want to draw it. You don't want to get stuck with 2 in your hand.
You really want to throw this out on curve. You really want this out as your 3 drop.
Absolutely.
And then hopefully you're hitting it with something to pump it and your first and second drop and swing for big stuff on turn 4.
But man, I can't help but really like it. And then the fact that it's not counters like some of the other ones, but it's still +1/+1 and it's trample. And they themselves are going to be there to help you defend. They're probably going to live with that first strike.
Especially, they pump themselves with their heroic too.
Yeah, they pump themselves.
I think they're terrific, and I like them a lot. And as someone who really enjoys playing Boros, I can't wait to get my hands on a few of them.
Yeah, really cool.
Yeah.
Moving on. Ashen Rider is next, and I think we just have a couple things to say about it. There's really not much to say.
I don't have much to say. I think that this is kind of one of the more disappointing Mythics in the set.
I think out of all the Mythics, I think this is the one you don't want to open.
That would be my opinion as well.
The places I can see it in Reanimator. That's what I mean. God,
that's really the only place I can see it.
It's got good abilities. It's 5/5. It flies. When it hits the battlefield, you take out a permanent. It's not a creature. It's a permanent. When it dies, once it's out on the field, your opponent's going to want to try to exile it because. Yeah. Just killing it outright means that they're going to lose another permanent. Yeah, that's great.
You have to cheat this guy into play.
At 8 mana, double black, double white.
It had better, massage my feet and win me the game and get me a sandwich at the same time. Right. Because and this doesn't do any of those things.
No, it comes into play. You get to take out 1 permanent. That's great, but that's probably not a game changer.
Yeah,
in most cases it's not.
It's helpful. It'll swing the game in your favor, hopefully, but it's not winning you the game. And if I'm dropping an 8-drop, it needs to be a devastating move to win me.
My opponent's creatures cannot attack me. I cannot lose the game.
Yeah, I mean,
You know,
Platinum
even
Angel,
Platinum is only 7.
Platinum Angel costs less than this guy, so...
Right. But if you have a way to reanimate him, if you have a flicker mechanic you're toying with and you can get him in play, I think that's when he's devastating.
There's some shenanigans to be had with this guy.
I think that's the only reason to talk
sort of a
about
disappointing mythic.
Definitely a disappointing mythic.
Okay, let's talk about Ashiok the Nightmare Weaver.
Yeah, why don't we?
I think we should.
So he
actually better than I thought he was going to be. I think actually having heard how he's being used and stuff. I
haven't heard about how he's other than apparently he's made some top 8 decks.
He has, and I don't know. I was kind of surprised by that. Yeah. I thought maybe I'm just used to Dimir sort of being sad.
Wah, wah.
And it's nice to see Dimir actually get something strong. And he does really cool, interesting things, too.
Yeah, I know. So he's the second Dimir-colored Planeswalker, correct?
He is, although Tezzeret was artifact-based. So it's like Dimir finally got one that wasn't just like artifact
a little support. More, Dimir flavor.
Yeah. Tezzeret was more like... meant to be played in Esper artifact decks and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So,
he's a cool fit for the colors.
Absolutely.
I like he's got 3 loyalty for 3 casting costs, and he comes right out and he gets that +2. Now he doesn't protect himself, but the fact that that's a +2
helps keep him around.
A little bit, yeah. It's just that extra little bit of help, and I really like that. He came out in one of our drafts. I pulled him. And I brought him out. I had him on my opening hand, but I held him because I didn't have great blockers early. So he didn't come out until I probably had 6 or 7 land.
Yeah.
It wasn't a priority to get him out. But once he did, I actually ended up decking my opponent with him.
Oh, really?
We stalemated
to the deck. Huh?
I ended up bringing out 1 creature after milling off his library to kind of help with my defense to keep myself alive, but it ended up being better to deck my opponent's 40-card deck than either of us were going to end up get through to each other. Not how he's really meant to be used.
No,
but it ended up working out that way.
Totally. I think he's solid. I think he does really interesting things. I think his ultimate ability is honestly the least interesting thing he does.
Right. I didn't bother with it.
I don't feel like most of the time you will, unless you really want to hose somebody. If someone's really using their graveyard or something, then maybe you would want to get up to that.
A lot of graveyard recursion, or if they they Sphinx Revelation. This is another one of those Sphinx hate cards.
Yeah, he can smack someone's hand pretty hard. So, but most of the time, I feel like you're just going to be grinding and then using any goodies that you manage to get off the top. So,
and that's the one thing I will. The other nice thing about it is that when. In that game, when I needed an answer to something, I was looking through all those exiled cards every time, going like okay, checking abilities, going, what creature can I bring out that has something interesting that's going to help me with the current board state.
Yeah.
So I think that's where the advantage is. That he gives you this second hand from which you can pull creatures that may help with a given situation.
Yeah, totally. So all in all, just solid addition to the Planeswalker roster, I'd say.
So now Daxus.
Daxus of Melitus.
Yeah.
This guy's got a lot going on.
He does.
And he's sort of in the same vein as Ashiok, actually.
He is.
Funnily enough. But yeah, I mean, he's aggressively costed. 2/2 for 3. Not bad. He's got this great can't be blocked by creatures with power 3 or greater thing, so... Generally, you're not going to he's not going to be blockable by a lot of creatures that are bigger than him.
Yep.
I mean, the most you can do is he'll probably be trading with whatever your opponent can throw at him to block him, which is cool.
Yeah.
And then he's got this crazy freaking ability that gives you, not only do you get to exile the top card, but you gain life for its converted mana cost. So it's just life gain unless you grind a land or something, which is awesome right off the bat. And then you can cast it. And he doesn't even care about what mana you use to cast it, which is just awesome.
Really great.
It's just, I don't even know how useful that is in a constructed format or whatever, but dang it, that's just cool.
I think this guy is just begging for some first strike or or a little bit of pump. I mean, you put a little pump on him, and
give him an ordeal, and all of a sudden he's bigger than anything that could possibly block him.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even neglecting his second ability, even just his unblockability suddenly becomes a big threat to your opponent.
A danger for sure. Yeah. He actually, not a ton to say, but he did come out in a game, and I didn't have him, but he was really devastating because the opponent didn't have any 2/2 creatures at the time. Everything was like 3/2 or 3/3 or bigger.
Yeah.
And he was again when kind of a little bit of a stalemate, and he was the only thing punching through. But every turn he was punching
and giving you life,
gaining life, and allowing that when that card came up and was any good, there it is. I'm going to steal your card and keep what I have in my hand.
Totally.
Really great.
So I just think really interesting guy.
So, Fleecebane Lion.
Man, this thing.
Stupid good.
I mean, just
stupidly good.
Even just, I remember in original Ravnica block, it was like a big deal because they printed a Selesnya creature that was a 3/3 for vanilla creature for green-white.
Yeah.
And that was like a big deal. It was a rare. It was legendary. It was like, oh my god, look at the 3/3 for... And now this thing is just better than it.
Yeah.
This thing is the same thing with monstrosity for awesome.
Yeah.
And, I mean, holy crap.
It's one of those... It is... I think when it hits the board in limited or constructed, it's a huge threat.
Yeah, your opponent wants to get...
I have to get rid of this.
Wants to get rid of that before it goes monstrous.
Because if I can't get rid of this before it goes monstrous, it is not going away.
Exactly.
It is going to be next to impossible to get rid of the thing.
Yeah. You need a board sweeper that exiles.
Yeah.
Those aren't happening in this set. Maybe if you're lucky enough to have Merciless Eviction.
Yeah, I was going to say there's an Orzhov one.
But other than that, just he's not going away once he monstrous.
Really tough to get rid of, yeah.
And he monstrous is fairly early for as far as monstrosity
Yeah, for
goes.
5, it's one of the cheapest.
So, yeah.
For sure.
Man.
Yeah. I mean, he's not huge, but, I mean, 4/4 indestructible and hexproof.
Yeah. And
it's hard to get better than that.
Just the simple fact that he's 3/3 on turn 2 is
by itself
amazing. So,
let's see.
I think that's all I got.
Right.
Let's see, Kragma Warcaller, huh? More of the Minotaur love.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we had that one on there.
Yeah. Again, I just sort of love what they're doing with Minotaurs.
Yeah.
And Red-Black really loves giving its creatures haste, so if you're running Minotaur Tribal, this guy is kind of important for that, I think. It's important to note that he gives himself +2/+0 when he attacks.
And haste.
And haste. His things, unlike most lords, he gives himself all of his abilities as well. So
not crazy, like his own, thing is not crazy. 5 for...
If it was just a 4/3 with haste for 5, sure. But the fact that he gives it to all of your other Minotaurs. Yeah.
And then, oh man, that Minotaur deck is looking better and better all the time.
Totally.
I want to see what else they can come up with. Let's see, Metamai?
Yes, Metamai the Ageless.
We included, we included him because it's just that we've never seen an ability quite like this before.
outside of putting an extra turn card on that equipment that casts it whenever you hit someone with him. You've never really seen anything like this before. And it's cool. I think it's a neat finisher for some blue-white control decks and stuff. So
yeah, he could be that go get card for blue-white control. The one you're waiting on, to really lock down your opponent's board. He's the one interesting thing I'll put on is he's a Sphinx, and that's not particularly Greek or Roman or
No, I mean,
it's just an interesting creature type. I think it fits. The ability fits the type of creature. I don't think that's out of place. I just think that
there's
he's
actually
not necessarily fully.
Yeah, there's several Sphinxes in this block actually.
Yeah.
And I mean, you think of Sphinxes, you think of Egypt usually. Yeah. But I mean, if you look back, there's bits in Oedipus outsmarts a Sphinx at the beginning of the tragedy of Oedipus and that kind of stuff. So there's a little precedent.
Sphinx in the Underworld.
Yeah, and that kind of stuff. So there's a little precedent for it. It's not usually what you first think of when you think of this sort of Greek Roman theme, but I think it still works in the set. That said, his art is really creepy to me. I've been calling him Sphinx Face, just because I think his face is really creepy.
It's really, really very dark. You know, he's just silhouetted. And is he standing, you know, at the top of buildings, or those like mausoleums, or like, you know?
Just like the shadows on his weird man face is very unsettling to me. So
yeah, it's awesome.
So moving along,
all right,
so I don't have to look at him anymore.
The Polis Crusher.
Yeah.
So
just wanted to talk about this guy because he hoses enchantments so hard, right?
So Polis, like as in Metropolis, like is he a building crusher? Is it essentially?
Yeah, Polis is. I mean, you know, we're getting into Greek like root words and stuff now, but yeah, Polis would basically just be like a city or a settlement or anything like that. So yes, he's in Gruul colors, and he's here to smash up settlements and civilizations and stuff, and that's what he's going to do.
Yeah, I'm going to call him Wreck-It Ralph.
He's going to wreck it. Yeah. Okay, I could see that. Yeah, and you know, hosing enchantments that hard is pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, let's start where we usually start. 4/4/4 with trample and protection from enchantments.
Quite efficient.
A lot of abilities.
The bummer is you can't really buff him with any of the plethora of buff enchantments in this set. You can't bestow on him or anything, but that's sort of he's also immune to all of those really nasty enchantments.
Right.
So
no detention sphere for him, you know, any of that.
Yeah, any of that nasty stuff.
But monstrosity for 6. I mean, as far as monstrosity goes, I mean that's kind of in the typical realm.
Fairly low, and then
and 3. So I mean, you know, he'll be 7/7 trample if you get monstrous off.
Yep.
And protection from enchantments.
And whenever he hits a player, he blows up an enchantment, which in an enchantment-heavy block like this, your opponent's probably going to have some enchantments for you to blow up.
Right. So, I think that's what's most significant, and that's why we included him.
That's why we wanted to talk about him.
Yeah,
mostly.
He blows up enchantments in an enchantment-heavy format. It's hard to kind of ignore.
Absolutely.
He's a decent card on top of it. So the Prophet is next. Crewfix?
Crewfix, I believe,
that's my colors. That's my
I know you're like in love with this. So
yeah, and you know what? And I wasn't at first, and I
had to convince you to be in love with it.
I don't even know what I was thinking. It was like the crazy had set in, and it was like, it's all right, it's cool. I'm just not that excited about it. Like, oh wait,
Oh wait, you get an extra main phase to cast creatures on your opponent's turn.
Yeah, an extra untap phase and an extra main phase to cast creatures. Okay, fine, I'm sold. All right. I'll like it, I guess. If I must like it, I must like it.
Body's a little small for
5,
what he costs, but dang, that his abilities are so strong that it's just her abilities are so strong.
Oh, speaking of which,
abilities are so strong.
Not to totally go back up, but just because that reminded me, Ashitok totally kept calling it a she.
Oh, no, he's got some serious man chest.
Yeah, definitely a dude.
Yeah.
But it's such like a femi half face.
He does have a weird femi half face. Okay.
But anyway,
back to Prophet. And
moving on from Prophet, maybe.
Yeah, moving on from ambiguous genders.
Freaking great card.
Yes. Yeah, very solid, very fun.
Awesome and cool art. Like it's just kind of a neat.
Just the whole package there. The flavor text is very nice and sort of fitting and.
Kind of gives a feel of. Doesn't make you think of. It kind of makes me think of 300, and that with the Prophet Girl writhing on the table with. The drug induced like.
Yeah, it's sort of that. It's sort
future
of
sight oracle.
Oracle of Delphi kind of. Yeah. That drug induced incense ridden oracle thing that you find in Greek things often.
It's cool.
Yep, very cool.
Reaper of the Wilds.
Man, this thing's solid.
Yeah.
4/5 for 4.
Yeah,
because we got to get that out of the way.
And then three abilities.
3 useful abilities. You'd be amazed how many times you're going to scry 1 as long as this guy hangs out on the field for long enough.
3 abilities useful. That's more than I can say for the triads, which is more than we're going to say about the triads.
Yeah, we probably won't even talk about them.
Right.
But damn, it's just solid. I mean.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say that the death touch is not crazy amazing, but it's only 1 black.
No, but I mean, at the very least, if they send something even bigger than this thing at you, it'll take it with it.
Yeah.
And you'll scry 1 twice in the process.
Not if it takes him with it.
Oh, it's another creature, but okay.
Because he'll be dead.
Read the cards, yes.
No, and then hexproof. That's great for green and 1.
Yeah, that's. Yeah, between the the top and the bottom ones. Yeah, all three of the abilities are just useful.
I mean, I think that touch can definitely have its place.
He's a neat little toolbox creature that's very efficient and probably net you some scry ones.
Right. So I mean, Death Touch on top of the big body is maybe good for getting through some regenerate.
Yeah.
You pop hit
absolutely.
Him twice,
Absolutely.
So. Anyway, we'll move on. Here we go.
We're going to talk about Spellhurt Chimera.
There we go. There's your Is It guy.
I love it. I love this guy. He just like my Is It counterburn decks just love him. He just slots right in there. And there's plenty of pump spells in this set that he works nicely with. He's got flying and trample, and he costs 3. I love him. And I don't have much else to say because he's just awesome.
I think there's a lot of danger of him getting very, very big, very, very quickly.
I think it's
what
very
was
feasible.
the spell trident spear thing that the names escape me. It's a equipment artifact.
Runecaster's Trident or whatever it was.
I never used it, but I heard that it was actually making some some moves in some decks, and this is basically it's that built in.
Yeah, it's that with wings
and trample
and a 3 toughness body.
Yeah, mana efficient creature. I mean, if you're playing a lot of those, is it where you've got your Cyclopses, your different things that you're
it's almost a balance.
You're pumping and switching them, and those are going. All your stuff is dumping in the graveyard, and now he's huge.
It fits very nicely into a lot of the Is It stuff that we got, especially in Dragon's Maze in the last set.
I mean, I almost wouldn't have been. I wouldn't have been happy at rare, but I almost could have understood seeing a card like this.
I might have complained a little bit about it. I'm much happier that it's uncommon, but
too.
I guess I could have seen that.
Yeah, I wouldn't have been surprised to see that at rare.
Speaking of rares,
and Is It, and Steam.
And Augury.
Yeah.
Steam Augury.
Yeah.
Why did we do that? Anyway, this is one, it's not really holding a lot of value, I guess, right now.
I would have thought it would be better.
I mean, it's sort of like, it's not fact or fiction, but it's still, I think it's pretty good. It'll net you quite a few cards there.
Yeah.
I think the main thing is people are really finicky about giving your opponent any choice at all.
Yeah. Well, it's really your choice, and you can make it. You can put it on. Either way, you're going to get some cards.
It is.
You either, you get that one card you really want, you put that by itself, and then you put the other 4 in that other pile, so that the opponent. I mean, it really makes it tough on them because now they're having to go. Do I give them that one card that I think they really need, or I give them those 4 cards that I'm going to have to deal with? I'm going to give them 4 cards for 4, or however you break it up. But
I always love cards like this, and fact or fiction. There's kind of gifts ungiven is another one.
Yeah.
Like these kind of cards that let you separate your things and give your opponent a choice. I just think it creates a type of thinking that you don't usually encounter in a typical game of Magic, and I really like that it mixes things up like that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. This came up in one of the limited games, and the piles were divided. I was looking at them to see. I mean, I had to choose one of them for my opponent.
Gotta play it against you.
Okay. And I was like, okay, I think I got it. Here, take this one. No, take this one. I changed my mind right after I had started to give him the one. I was like, oh, no, give him the other one. Yeah, because I was just trying to figure out, okay, what can he do with this? What can he do with this? Oh, man. And to my opponent's credit, he divided his piles really, really well, which I didn't want to...
Which is essential for this. I mean, if you're not dividing... Or you get unlucky and you get, 1 useful card and 4 land, then it kind of hoses you. But the same that any card draw would hose you.
But, even then, it's like, at least you're like, hey, useful card, 4 land.
At least there's 4 lander off the top.
Right. Dump that useful card. Okay, I've just got 4 lands, so I'm going to have plenty of mana. I'm not going to be drawing 4 lands for 4 turns. Yeah. I mean, with how good Gifts Ungiven is, I mean, it's not as good.
Yeah, I think maybe
I'm surprised it's not.
I think the big thing is that there aren't any dominant red-white decks that really want to use it.
Red-blue decks.
Red-blue decks.
I think it's the red in it. I think that's why it's not being played, because blue's
always
absolutely
played for
blue-red. It's not enough. It's not enough of a good card to splash into.
There aren't decks that are using it right now. I think that's why it's not super valuable. Moving on.
So,
I'm going to talk about
the Murder King.
Yeah, let's talk about Timer
that guy. Not exciting. I mean, 2/2 for 2 with a couple abilities. He's a sack engine. He's got some. I mean,
he's not bad. No, I just don't think he's super interesting. But as I was telling you before we started shooting the video, I guess a lot of people aren't aware, his flavor text is really what sort of makes why we're talking about him. Because it talks about how his memories remained in the underworld and stuff. And I guess, telling all you guys, a lot of people didn't realize, but the Returned are a faction of mostly black entities in Theros that are basically people who have escaped from the underworld. And they're zombies, and apparently when you escape from the underworld, you lose your memories. But they're still sentient, and they usually wear their burial masks instead of having like their creepy undead faces out in the open or something, I guess. That's pretty cool flavor. And I think...
And he's one of those...
This guy is apparently their king, you know? And it's interesting because he lost his memory, but he kept sort of his vital nature, his cruelty, and he kept sort of his... Yeah.
That's kind of a neat name, the Murder King.
The Murder King is the most metal name in the entire set.
It's like, pretty messed up.
I feel like he should be on the cover of some sort of...
Black metal album.
Exactly, yeah.
By Stoneglaive or...
Henstein.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Okay, moving on from Murder McMurderson.
Underworld Cerberus.
Speaking of breaking out of the underworld, this guy doesn't want you to.
Yeah.
Cool. Again, like...
Super! Just what a great card.
Yeah.
Mana efficient for what you get.
Yeah.
Not only is he 6/6, but now he's super hard to block. Must be blocked by 3 more creatures, which is great because he's got 3 heads. Fits perfect, and he guards the underworld. So cards and graveyards can't be the target of spells or abilities. So forget about flashback. Forget about any reanimator. Cerberus is guarding the gates to the underworld.
Yeah.
And then, hilariously, if he dies.
Jailbreak.
Yeah.
Yeah. So everybody gets out of the underworld when Cerberus dies.
Right. Tell me how much, I don't know if I wish or I don't wish that if jailbreak meant onto the battlefield instead of into the hand. Like, there's your reanimator deck right there.
That would be crazy. Yeah. There's probably a reason why Wizards didn't do that.
Yeah. That is it. Crazy. Whole decks built around him because, let me put my overly costed junk,
Yeah,
creatures into the graveyard, and then Cerberus is going to let him out. Get that Ashen Rider out.
Play my Ashen Rider. But even without that, I think this card is my favorite marriage, my favorite balance of just mechanics and flavor, and everything comes together so nicely on that card, and it's playable on top of it. So just thumbs up to Underworld Cerberus.
Absolutely. So the last card, at least in the gold, is the last of the Planeswalkers, Xenakis the Reveler.
Xenakis the Reveler.
Now, interesting thing about him is, maybe we should talk about him first.
From a story perspective, it looks like Xenakis is sort of our bad guy in this block. Yeah. He's sort of our antagonist. It's interesting because he's a Theros native, obviously. He's a satyr. He makes satyrs. Apparently he was the master of revelries for the satyrs when his spark ignited, and he went out and explored the multiverse and saw that there were other planes where the gods of his plane had no authority at all, and people hadn't heard of them. People didn't believe in them, and they had no power there, and that made him very disillusioned with how the power structure is organized on Theros. And now it looks like he's back, and he's trying to seize some godhood for himself. He's trying to upend the whole hierarchy of gods, and he's stirring up monsters. And Elspeth, Heliad has come to Elspeth for help now because he's afraid of what Xenakis might do. I can't wait to see how that plotline develops. I think it'll be really cool.
Yeah. Now, weren't you also saying before that there's been some little spoilerish hints at what the other gods' names are and their colors and their sort of focus?
Yes.
But there just happens to not be a red-green.
Yeah. Well, we have prophets of Crewfix, and we have cards that talk about Karanos, the god of lightning, and stuff like that. Those are peppered through. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw some more gods by the end of the block.
The minor deities.
I'm guessing a whole cycle of minor deities, one for each color combination, because that's what we're looking towards. However, there aren't any references to a red-green one. And here's Xenakis trying to seize godhood I'm not saying we might see a Xenakis-related god card down the line, but we might see a Xenakis-related god card down the line.
Yeah, I think it'd be awesome. Get a couple of cards. He has a couple cards, a planeswalker card and a creature card.
I think that would be really cool. A creature enchantment, indestructible.
Maybe.
Hoopla.
I mean, who knows if the new gods will be indestructible like the the old ones.
I assume they will be because they're all supposed to still be gods.
Yeah,
but
it would be unfortunate, I think, in some ways if they were not. But I could see them being weaker. In some ways.
Maybe.
What'll be sad is if they're way better than the big gods.
I have a feeling they might be. I'm all right with it
in some cases. Anyway, so we're gonna move on to artifacts here. No, you want to?
Let's come down out of speculation land and actually talk about Xenakis the card for a second here.
That's right. I was getting excited. I want to talk about the next card, but all right.
Fine.
So I think his abilities. I actually plan to play Xenakis. I like his abilities. I think, again, green's just got so much mana ramp. I love it. I like the ramp. I think he has some room to work with the Red God.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a lot of potential here, but I don't think the rest of the world agrees.
I don't know.
For a Planeswalker, I think he's the cheapest now.
Of all planeswalkers?
Oh no! Out of the set.
Out of the set, yes, I believe he is. I was like, I'm pretty sure Tybalt is.
He is 50 cents.
I'm pretty sure people are still trying to pay me to take their Tybalts from them. So, but yeah, I don't know. Yeah, of the planeswalkers in the sets now, I think since they've sort of settled and been played a little bit and stuff, he's sort of settling into the bottom rung. I still think he's pretty good.
Yeah.
I think he's.
I like him better than Ashiok.
Yeah, I was gonna say
I like him better than Elspeth. I mean, Elspeth is great. She's good. Like, don't even wrong. She's good, but I like him more.
I think he's more playable. I think he's less expensive. I think he does more interesting things.
Yeah.
I don't know, but
yeah,
we'll see what comes of him. And at the very least, it'll be easier for us to get them if
the price drops.
If competitive scenes don't like him very much. So
yeah.
We can play around with him.
All right, and there's good abilities and
okay.
Anyway,
now we can move on to the card you want to talk about.
All right, now this might be my favorite flavor card out of the set.
It's a solid flavor card.
Yeah, so good. We're talking about the Cronin Horse, which is obviously the Trojan horse, and we had one again. This is another one of those cards that it came out in the game, and it just.
You had someone play it, huh?
Yeah, I played it. I threw it on an opponent. It didn't happen to be a 3-player game, but that one. But so it went on to whoever there was somebody who was obviously kind of ahead of everyone, so they got the horse, and then the two of us started getting soldiers.
Right.
The flip side of it and the balance part of that is that it's an 0/4 wall. Mm-hmm. So you're giving your opponent basically a way to block your soldiers. Yeah. So yeah, it's balanced, but God, I mean, just the idea of like you're literally giving them a Trojan horse and soldiers are popping out of it that don't belong to them.
The freaking flavor on this thing is off the charts. Like, you'll never see this in a constructed deck or anything, but holy crap, is it fun! I mean, I love things that donate to your opponent and then do stuff. Once they're in, punish them. Mm-hmm. That's so much, especially cards.
There's not much of it.
Yeah, especially cards that donate themselves. Like, it's one thing to donate a really shitty card to your opponent that just hurts them. It's another thing to have one that mechanically gives itself and then does something clever to punish your opponent for having it.
Yeah,
and I love it. I also love that there is a soldier token that is literally depicts a soldier climbing out of this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the soldiers. There's two mono white soldier tokens in the set, and one of them is like at night. It shows this soldier like climbing out the bottom of the horse.
Yeah. Oh, it's just great. I just really like this card. I can't say it's super playable. I have some ideas of how to use it. I'm thinking about maybe trying to work it into another deck.
Okay.
It's obviously not going to be the focus. But it's like okay, it might in this deck it might actually work. So
okay, I'll be interested to see what you come up with it because I think it's a lot of fun, but I don't really have any ideas for using it.
It's not the most usable, but it's not bad.
All right, very good. Moving on, delving deeper into artifacts here. Should we talk about the Colossus of Akros?
Yeah.
the thing's badass regardless of how playable you think it is.
Right.
Like, just it's one of those giant stone colossi standing over the gates of some city.
Yeah, because it's not legendary. It's not like the Colossus. It's not like not like the Colossus of Rhodes. It's just a Colossus.
Which kind of surprised me because I kind of expected it to be the Colossus of Akros. Right. But I guess Akros has more than one Colossus. Maybe.
Yeah, good for them.
They got a higher budget than Rhodes or something. I guess
they did. Yeah, but flavor-wise, like 10 out of 10. Playability-wise, certainly, 8 colorless mana out of a 10/10.
If you can do it in a limited game, it'll be hilarious.
Which happened.
You told me someone actually
cast it
and went monstrous with it.
And went monstrous with it, and then it thankfully faded into antiquity.
Right.
But still awesome. Very hard to get rid of. Even as a defender. I mean, do I want to pay 8 for a defender? No, probably not. But if you're going to, if you're playing green ramp, I guess in your limited deck, or hell, if you want to build a constructed deck to make make those colossi come out of the woodwork and run amok, awesome. I like to see it. I mean, I can't see it winning tournaments, but
no. And the fact is,
casual Magic.
I mean, I like this guy. I think he's a lot of fun. He's another guy that I'll be really depressed if I open him out of a pack, and he's my rare a lot of times, though.
Yeah, me less so. I like him enough.
Okay. A lot of times, I just don't think... I appreciate him, but I don't foresee using him outside of a limited format. So a lot of times I'll just be like, dang it.
If it's the difference between the Colossus and like a Fleecemane Lion, obviously, But I wouldn't hate to open him. The one thing we were talking about before, and this kind of has to do with, we'll talk about the art. The art we think is really great.
Yeah, it looks good.
But he is way, way above the trees, is he not?
Yeah. We were talking about that. He doesn't have reach.
Right.
He'd be amazing. He'd be a great wall if he had reach. He could justify his 8 casting cost a little bit more.
Right. With reach, because then he is like this nearly impenetrable wall.
Yeah. Especially because Arbor Colossus is clearly shorter than he is and has reach.
Yeah.
So
clearly shorter, clearly smaller, even with monstrous, And,
this guy's bigger than Arbor Colossus even before he goes monstrous.
I don't know why they didn't give him reach.
Yeah.
Should have been a Colossus thing, but
oh well.
Anyway. Kind of what we got left is a lot more flavor than anything else. Because the artifacts in this set, not gonna lie, not super strong.
Man, there's not a lot of them. Yeah, this is a very color-driven set to be sure. Yeah. And I mean, it's got mechanics to support that.
It has the artifacts. There's just not really too many like, oh my god, this is the big best Mamma Jamma.
Which I kind of like because artifacts, anybody can play those. I kind of like each color to have big stuff.
I want to see like 1 or 2 artifacts that make me go like, wow, I can use this. But
it'd be nice to have a few that were like, build a deck around me.
Yeah,
which there aren't really that many.
Or stick me in. You got 2 or 3 different decks that this could work in. But
yeah.
Anyway. So Fleet Feather Sandals is our first flavor artifact.
We were going to talk about this and also the Prowler's Helm. Yeah, we can sort of talk about both of them at the same time because they're cool. They're sort of, they're nice little artifacts. They give evasion in one way or another. They're reasonably costed, but the cool thing is, obviously they're based on artifacts from Greek mythology. Yeah. Fleet Feather being Hermes' winged shoes, and the Prowler's Helm being Hades' helmet of invisibility. Yeah. And that's just kind of cool. I hope, honestly, that we see some more of these that are themed off some other... I don't even know which ones they do, so maybe this is it. But I'm hoping some of the later sets have more equipment along these lines with references like that.
Like a head of a Gorgon or something in a bag.
Yeah, like a mirror, like a mirrored shield would be kind of cool or something like that.
Some kind of the sword of the gods type.
Yeah, or a
handed down
throwable lightning bolt or something.
Yeah, they could. There's definitely some more things they could do.
Yeah. But all the same. I guess we can.
However, the other thing to say about the Prowler's Helm is so far I think there's like 1 wall.
Yeah.
And I think it's nigh unplayable.
Yeah. That's true. Prowler's Helm is basically, if you're in this set and Ravnica for the most part too, it pretty much makes the creature unblockable. It's it's not. There's not a lot of walls to worry about blocking that thing.
Yeah.
Let's see. So we have one more equipment that we can sort of lump in with these.
Okay, yeah, that's just what we're talking about.
Because, I mean, the Witch's Eye is, again, sort of another solid
thing. It's a reference
like that.
And appropriate.
The eye of the Fate. Yeah. I just think of Disney's Hercules when you got the three stooge fates like smacking the eyeball out of each other's eyes.
I think of the original Clash of the Titans.
Oh, right. I forgot about that.
Yeah, age difference there.
Yeah, I guess so.
But yeah, so you have the three witches, the three fates who have the one glass eye, which is the only way they can see, and they fight over it, and they also can tell the future. So here we go. You have a witch's eye.
Yep.
Has an appropriate ability. It's cheap. I kind of wish like either the Scry didn't cost anything or the equip was free. I mean, because it's just. But I'll say we'll get into it when we start talking about Scry Lands. But
yeah.
I have a lot more appreciation for Scry than I did before.
Scry is amazing.
Yeah,
it really is. And we can talk about that. Yeah, once we get to the Scry Lands.
I'm not saying I would say Witch's Eye is a great card. I certainly don't plan on putting it in a constructed deck.
Yeah.
But I'll grab it. I'll grab it in limited. Sure.
Again, very flavorful though.
Yeah.
So awesome for that.
Well, so the very last artifact.
One more artifact. Yeah. The Pyxis of Pandemonium. I always have a hard time saying Pyxis.
Pyxis.
And I guess this sort of falls into the same theme that we've been talking about here. We think it's supposed to be a Pandora's Box reference.
I mean, I think the Pandemonium might be Wizards' subtle way of like saying, "Hey, this is what this is supposed to be."
Yeah,
I'm the mechanics.
Not entirely sure.
The mechanics seem to fit that sort of.
Yeah, it's sort of you put a bunch of stuff in the box and then you open it and it all goes out into the world and yeah. So mechanically it's just sort of another kitschy chaos card, but there's a place for that. I have a soft spot for chaos cards in a lot of ways, no matter how much some people may hate them. So
yeah, I think this is my number one rare that I open that after the little kid goes into the show and like I have enough money to buy one booster pack and he pays his like $40 for that booster pack and because
$40 because he gets like
the markup is a
1,000% markup on okay.
Then he opens it, it's like yes, now I can complete my Minotaur deck.
That shop owner hates orphans. Okay.
Yes, and he opens it up and like. Oh, it's a Pyxis, and then he rage quits magic and
more magic, yeah.
I think this is the worst rare in this.
Yeah, it wouldn't really be a kitschy chaos rare unless it was that card that you hate actually opening from your pack. I feel like.
Yeah, it's very fitting.
Yeah,
it's
just.
I mean, you almost want to try to control it, like you find ways to throw big McNasties on top of your library maybe, and like try to cheaty face them out. But that it's like the 7 casting cards.
Cheaty face them out for 7. Yeah.
Basically, just says that no, this will not be used like that. This will be not used for.
This will be in chaos decks and EDH and nothing else.
Yeah, this will be used for, a bookmark.
Yeah. I use Basic Land for bookmarks. I wouldn't use that as a bookmark.
Oh yeah, I mean, I guess I will have a space in my Theros binder,
right? That you can show. Yes, that happened.
Hey, there's not an empty space here, and that will be its purpose.
Moving on.
So now we're on to Lands, and Lands is gonna go quick. So lucky you. There's not a lot of land to talk about, and we're gonna
start with the big ones. Nykthos.
Yeah.
Shrine to Nyx.
I'm super in love with this land, and I think
it's pretty.
The price, it is pretty. What a gorgeous card. Yeah. The price has steadily dropped on it. I think that a lot of people were really excited about it at first glance, and they're finding out it's not as good as they thought. It's not quite, Tolarian Academy or Gaia's Cradle.
Remotely.
But I don't know. I'm still surprised at it. I think it's surprisingly good. I think it's
very cool. I think it's an awesome use of the devotion mechanic.
Yeah. I'm really happy to have it. I still think while it is not Tolarian Academy, I think that it has a lot of potential to be really devastating in the right kind of deck.
Possibly, yeah. I don't know how competitive it'll ever be, but I think there's a lot of cool things that can be done with it for sure.
And it's potentially mana excel in colors that don't have it.
Potentially, yes.
Yeah. I mean, and you don't have to be locked into like, oh, I have to play an artifact deck or I have to play an enchantment deck.
That's true. It's versatile. It does a really interesting thing. It's also really nice that it does tap for colorless if you really need to
well,
tap
that's sort of like
so.
That's the trade-off. It doesn't come into play tapped.
Yeah.
It taps for colorless regardless, and if you have at least, you know, was it like 3 devotion, then it basically balances itself out.
Yes.
You pay 2 and you tap it, and you I mean, I guess if you only need 2 devotion, tap it and you pay 2 and you get 2.
Yep.
You know, I guess 3 counting
3,
it. So it is
3 to count it
3.
to justify its land drop. Yeah.
So that's not that hard to get. 3 devotions,
not
reasonably
at all.
easy, and then past that, it's all bonus. It's now you're ahead of the curve.
Yeah, it's a fun card, and I don't have much else to say about it. What do you say we move on?
Yeah. I don't think it's broken, but I think it's super useful.
Yeah.
Do we want to talk about the last land, or we just want to go
let's just move straight to the big ones here. The Scry Land. Yeah. When I first saw these, I was a little disappointed. How about
Hated it.
Yeah.
At rare, like, okay, let me talk about Guildgate.
Yeah.
It is a Guildgate with Scry. What rarity is Guildgate?
Common.
What rarity are these?
Rare.
That's some crap.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of that. I really wish they were uncommon.
Yeah, I'm still not I'm not excited that they are rare. I have a little bit more appreciation, having done a bunch of draft with it, having gotten to use it. I mean, because I was a big,
they're useful. They're good.
I mean, I was a big fan of Magma Jet back in the day when it was, you know, I liked Scry back in Mirrodin, original Mirrodin, when it was around. I liked it, but I just God, like it's gonna take up my rare. A land is taking up my rare slot, and all it is a Guildgate with Scry.
Again, we come back to that feeling that you get when you open a pack with one of these in it.
Right.
Of course.
When they're in booster draft.
Yeah.
Tell me about that. That's my rare.
It's mostly a bummer. Like, pick one, pack one, open your booster pack, and you get one of these. It's kind of. I mean, it's
pass.
Yes.
Rare draft.
I mean,
they're $5.
At least they are. You know, they're holding a bit of value just because they're dual lands with Scry on them.
Yeah.
So.
But I will say, now that we have rained on their parade, Scry is really useful.
Especially with how common it is in this set. The prevalence of Scry is sort of warping the environment quite a bit in really interesting ways.
Right. I kid you not. So many times I have, pulled that Scry, and it's almost all land related. In that I need more land. I've got to get up to my monstrous. I've got to cast this thing that's stuck in. I need that double green. That I'm stuck with this double green guy in my hand. Scry, it's some other card. It's not that. It's maybe useful, but it's not that thing. That land I need or whatever it is. Bottom. Next card is exactly what I wanted. Like it happened so much.
Lucky you.
Yeah. The same thing. Like I'm mana flooded. I'm sick. I keep drawing lands. I need something I can cast. Scry, it's a land on top. That thing's going on the bottom.
Yeah.
And it's one less turn. I know I'm, even if it's not the next card, I know I'm not. I'm one turn ahead. So if you scry a second time during the same turn, it gives you roughly like a 33% chance to get a playable spell or a land, depending on what you're looking for. That is assuming, of course, you took the top card, it wasn't what you wanted, and you place it on the bottom. But it sort of depends on your deck makeup, like if you have more land, or you have more spells, depending on your makeup, because 20 to 24, it can change the percentage. It can be up to maybe 38, depending on what it is.
Oh, thank you for watching D6 Mafia. I'm Kevin.
And I'm Russ. That is, of course, unless you get a third Scry land on top with your Scry, and then that goes up to more like a 68% chance.